One of the single best places to get content information is from questions that consumers are already asking. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how do we find out where those consumers are asking questions and what questions they're asking. Now, for this particular strategy, now there's a lot of different things. And as I say on all of these podcasts, what I'm talking to you about are just kind of guidelines. I'm trying to give you some of the bare basics as I've learned them, and from my personal experience, so that you can take them and, quite frankly, figure out how to do this on your own. If I can help you become comfortable or brilliant at the basics, if I can help you be comfortable with just getting on camera and doing this stuff and trying this, and if I can give you sort of some guardrails or some training wheels to keep you going, eventually you're going to figure this stuff out and you're going to be cranking out content like a crazy person. So this is a really, really easy and really cool way to get content ideas. And so what I'm going to cover in this episode is 3 ways to find consumer questions. Now, the 3 best ways to find consumer questions are emails from past clients. Your sent folder is one of the best places you're ever going to find content. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Buyer groups or forums. It doesn't have to be on your website and they don't have to be your clients. You can get them from buyer groups and forums. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. And bad customer reviews. Bad customer reviews are a great source of content. And I'm going to show you exactly how to find those. And more importantly, once you find them, how to find the right ones, and then how to create content around it. So, oh, you can't see that. So let me make this bigger. So check your email. Like I said before, your sent folder in your email is a gold mine for content. When I say it's a gold mine for content, here's what you're looking for: is you're looking for any question that was sent to you by a client. It doesn't have to be somebody that you closed a loan with, just anybody that asked you a question and then you responded. That's why it's in your sent folder. So the question is chock full of information. So I have an example here of an email that I got. Hi, Scott, will you help me understand my situation? Me and my wife are trying to qualify for a mortgage. She just graduated, makes $60,000, owes $160,000 in student loan debt that's not in repayment yet. And she has a 620 credit score. I make $55,000, have $100,000 in debt. I have an income-based repayment of 0 a month. 2 years left on my public service loan forgiveness, PSLF, or PS. No, it's PSLF. He wrote PSFL. And then he's got an 820 credit score. So they're trying to find a lender in Hawaii, and advice is much appreciated. So let's unpack this a little bit. Let me see if I can get a little bit better. There we go. That one you can see a little bit better. So there's a couple of different topics that I could pull out of this. The first topic is the student loans aren't in repayment yet. So his wife owes $160,000 and her student loans are not in repayment yet. That's an entire topic right there. He is in a repayment program. He's in a public service loan forgiveness program, PSLF, which means that he has an income-based payment right now. That income-based payment happens to be 0. Now, as a guideline geek and as student loans being one of the niches that I would truly say is one of my superpowers, I know that Fannie Mae will allow a $0 payment on an income-based repayment. So there's an angle there. And then here's another angle: is which credit score do I use, right? So she makes more money. She has more student loan debt. Her student loans are not in repayment, and she has a 620 credit score. He makes less money. They probably need her income to qualify. And he has an 820 credit score. So there's a whole piece of content on that. So just in this one email, I have one piece of content about what happens if your student loans are not in repayment yet, right? So that's going to be whatever the standard calculation is, depending on which loan program you're going to use. What do you do with a zero payment? What do you do with credit scores? So there's like 4 or 5 content topic ideas out of this one email. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an idea. So now let's look at the hook. So the main complaint in the review. Oh, so now we're going to, okay, so that's email. So now we're going to negative reviews. Not necessarily negative reviews, but reviews. So I use a site called consumeraffairs.com. And if you go to consumeraffairs.com, you can go in there and you can search by company. I use what's called the 3-star review rule. So if you look up a company and then you pick anybody that you want, pick like if you specialize in VA loans, pick a New Day USA or Navy Federal Credit Union or Veterans United. These are companies that you know have a lot of overlays, that don't do manual underwriting, and they're likely in a most of them are call center lenders. So they're going to look at a situation. If it doesn't look like it's perfect, they're going to pass on it. But 3 stars. So you're looking for 3-star reviews. The reason I like 3 stars is because they probably completed the transaction with 3 stars, but they weren't happy about the process. So if you're doing the slideshow like we're doing now, I'm using StreamYard and I'm using Google Slides. Show a screenshot of the question on the second slide. So basically you're going to open up with your hook, and the hook is whatever the issue was, whatever their main complaint is. And I've got some examples of this that I'm going to show you. If you're watching this on the video, I have a few examples. So you're going to actually do a screenshot of the question, and this is what it looks like. 3 stars reviewed, or the review was 3 stars on this particular one, and I extracted in the first sentence. It says, my husband basically clicked on clickbait and was contacted almost immediately from someone. They gave him high hopes, and then they went MIA. And there was all kinds of problems, and there was no communication. She said that they did end up closing it, but it was not a great experience, and they didn't necessarily like it. So basically clicked on clickbait. You can take this and you can kind of unpack this. So she's talking about a lack of communication. There's a lack of communication, and then there had questions about the appraisal, and the appraisal came back low as they expected it. So you can see here, there's a lot of opportunity here to unpack this. Basically, communication is key. The consumer thought that the appraisal was going to come in low, but it doesn't sound like they already had a conversation with the loan officer, because the loan officer went MIA. Loan officer went missing in action. They were nowhere to be found when the appraisal came in low, but the consumer already expected the appraisal to come in low. So do you kind of see where I'm going with this? You have this report, or you have this review from this consumer, and there are 2 or 3 really good ideas for content here that you can extract out of here. And when you're using the 3-point strategy, remember, you've got your hook, which is the question. Basically clicked on clickbait. Did you click on clickbait and then had a not so great experience with your consumer? Here's an example that I want to talk to you about, and it's about a lack of communication. And the problem with most inexperienced or lazy loan officers is they don't communicate with you. And then you go into the thing, and then you go into your 3 points. The appraisal came in low, so there obviously wasn't a conversation there. How do you avoid this? You avoid this by having a conversation with your loan officer up front. Don't assume anything. Ask lots of questions. So all of the things that we do to unpack these sort of scenarios. So that's a great example. Here's another great example. I don't know who this is, but they were probably one of the bigger lenders out there, and they just said they are too big. When you speak to one person, somebody else doesn't even know what's going on. So it looks like they had issues with their homeowners insurance. They switched their homeowners insurance without them knowing. They were too big. Again, this is a lack of communication. Are you tired of being treated like a number? Well, when you work with a local mortgage professional that does this for a living, you don't run into these problems. So this is another great example. They were too big. So tell them what's better. They never checked on us. Here's another review, 3-star review. They never checked on us. We filled out the application. If I wanted any information, um, okay, so this one is even worse. So this one, they called them, they never checked on them. Anytime they had a question, they told them to give them an 800 number, and then Rocket Mortgage sent them a denial letter to their home. And she asked, "What on earth?" Like, they didn't explain it to her. They didn't talk to her. Oh, so here's a 2-star review, right? So 3-star, they probably got the transaction done. 2-star, looks like they didn't get the transaction done. So these are just on consumer affairs websites. You can see that there is some great information here that you can extract to turn into content. Now let's talk about forums and other places where consumers are asking questions. Now there's Facebook groups and there's first-time Facebook groups. Reddit is a really good one. Reddit.com is really good for forums on first-time buyers. This consumer asked this question. This was just a few days ago. Actually, they said that they're a first-time buyer and they don't even know how to get started. They want to know if there's any benefits or any assistance as a first-time buyer. They need help with a fixed rate that's relatively low. So there's a conversation there about using seller concessions and maybe temporary or permanent buy downs. They says there's plenty of cheap housing in his area, but they're low income. They only have a car payment on their credit history. So there's a lot that you can unpack out of this one particular question. They're low income, so I would look at the affordable loan products. First of all, your FHA is going to have more flexible debt to income ratios. Your affordable products like your Fannie Mae Home Possible, or that's Freddie Mac Home Possible and Fannie Mae Home Ready. Then you have situations there. Will the interest rate be fixed? Yes. Will the interest rate be lower? Yes, because on both Fannie and Freddie affordable products, they've removed all the loan level price adjustments recently. That's something that's fairly recent. Just this episode right now, I've already come up with a dozen killer topics that we already know that consumers are out there asking questions. Not only can you go to the question that the consumer is asking, but unravel the content thread also. There's all kinds of people on this content thread that are chiming in, giving advice that I probably wouldn't give people. Me personally, I don't think that there's great advice, in that there are several suggestions that are not great advice. I would unpack those too. I'd take a screenshot of the advice, I'd throw it up there, and I would say, this is why you don't ask these questions in public forums, and you seek out a professional loan officer to help answer your questions. Again, unlimited content from that you can extract from these places where these folks are asking questions about qualifying for a mortgage. Because remember, that's why consumers go online. They don't go online to fill out a lead form with a company that's too big, that's not going to get back to them, that's not going to be able to see into their situation and anticipate problems. They're just not going to. These folks are going online to ask questions about qualifying for a mortgage. They get tricked into filling out lead forms because those companies spend so much money to convince consumers that that's how you get your questions answered. Once you do this, the offer to help close is always a classic. That's going to work so well in this situation. So if you are, and it sounds something like this. So when we talk about the offer to help close, I talk about the offer to help close on everything, on every video that we do. This is not a hard sale. I didn't mention it in the beginning, but I've mentioned it in other episodes. If you've noticed, I didn't even talk about introducing yourself or introducing your company. We don't do that anymore. It's just not a best practice, especially on YouTube. If the consumer's watching your video, they already know who put the video out. You should already have all your contact information in the description wherever your video is posted. So you're just here to educate, to inform, and to offer to help. So, Mr. or Mrs., who, if you're watching this video right now, and if you find yourself in a similar situation, or if your loan officer is not getting back to you, or if you just have questions that you aren't getting answered, I'm happy to help. And contacting me is easy. You can click below. My phone number is down there. You can schedule a time on my calendar, or you can send me an email, or better yet, just leave a comment in the comment threads underneath this video, wherever you're watching it, and I answer every single question semi-anonymously, so you don't have to worry about me blowing up your phone or anything like that. But I am here to help answer your questions, and that's what the offer to help close is. It's a soft close. It's a soft sale, and it's really just directing them to where they can make the choice to reach out to you. Because it and if you remember from the other episodes, the reason we do this, you don't have to solve their particular problem. We are showing consumers that have questions about qualifying for a mortgage that you are an expert, that you are experienced as a problem solver. So, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, you saw me solve that problem. If they are convinced that you are a problem solver, you can earn their trust. You earn their trust, you get a shot at their business. If they know, like, and trust you, they're going to reach out to you and they're going to ask you to help answer the rest of their questions about qualifying for a mortgage. Part of this is part of unpacking the hook. But I would kind of almost do this in the close also, depending, especially if you're doing reviews and there are negative reviews. I call this the "it's not your fault" statement. And this is a pretty standard statement. This is a pretty standard approach to sales. It's like, Mr. Consumer, you're in this situation, but it's not your fault. Believe it or not, this happens all the time. And the reason this happens in this particular scenario, big online lenders and call centers, they run a business model that doesn't give you access to someone with experience. They hire customer service people to just answer the phones and to just get through as many calls as they possibly can. So that's the reason why you had that experience. It's not you, it's them. And Mr. Consumer, this is again, I like this as part of my close. Avoid having this problem yourself. Educate yourself online first. The fact that you're watching this video, if you would have taken a little bit more time, do a little bit more research. But who do you trust? Well, luckily now you know somebody you can trust, so you can always come to me with your questions. But you want to educate yourself online. Avoid filling out lead forms. Lead forms are not how you get your questions answered. You get your questions answered by finding somebody like me who's willing to share my experience and my expertise, having been in this business for over 20 years. And then, quite honestly, you just need to speak to an expert. You need to speak to a professional, not a call center. And that will avoid that entire situation. And then finally, don't be afraid to empower consumers. Teach them about NMLS numbers and teach them how to go down to NMLS Consumer Access and look up the NMLS number of the call center loan officer that they've been talking to. This is a really, really smart and easy thing to do. Anybody who watches your videos, who's out there, who's speaking with anybody online, you're going to educate them. They're going to look up the NMLS number. You're going to show them what to look for, and then they're going to determine whether or not that's somebody that they're going to trust with their mortgage moving forward. Finally, authenticity. This is a really good and easy content strategy for you to really have a lot of authenticity, because remember, you're showing a screenshot of the real question. So this isn't something you're making up. This is an actual event that happened in the real world. You're taking a screenshot of it. You're showing it on your slide. You show off your problem solving skills. And again, if you can earn their trust, you can earn their business. So in this series, this is the third video in this series. And so this is a 2-week series. If you're following along on the podcast, we have one more. But in this series, we have the content creator or the video creator's confidence kit, the content cheat code, which is a really, really cool tool for coming up with content kind of out of the blue with just a keyword. Then we talked about consumer direct Q&A, and the next episode, we're going to talk about using past client stories or past prospects and past clients and how to structure those deals. So this is kind of a little series. So if you want to really wrap your head around how to come up with content, different ways to come up with content, different ways to structure your script and your content, you're going to want to watch the 4 episodes in this series. Now, if you are watching this and you're the do-it-yourself type, or you just want to have more of these conversations, let me see, let's blow this up a little bit. We have a free content creator community. The content creator community you can find by going to findmywayhome.com/solo, second opinion loan officer. You can scan this QR code. You can go to that URL. You're going to put in your name and your email address, and then we're going to send you an invitation to the second opinion loan officer community. That's a great community. I share a lot of content ideas, tips, and tricks, and we've got some really smart content creators in there that are sharing the stuff that they're doing. And basically, this is just a community of people that are trying to learn how to be content creators and how to future-proof their pipeline as a second opinion loan officer. Now, if you are not in this community, I have free courses. And all of this stuff is do it yourself. If you want to learn how to do it yourself, I have everything in there, including tutorials on StreamYard, this program I'm using, and Canva, what I use for my thumbnails and all that other stuff. Now, if you just want to start doing content, or you've been doing content and you're just trying to get off the ground, that's what I do here at Find My Way Home Expert Network. What we can do is we can give you introductions to consumers that have questions about qualifying for a mortgage now. This is the tens of thousands of consumers that come to findmywayhome.com, and most of them are asking us to introduce them to somebody that can answer their questions about qualifying for a mortgage. So if you want to be a part of the Expert Network, it's a monthly membership. We will give you introductions to consumers that have questions about qualifying for a mortgage today. Actually, it takes a couple of weeks to get set up on the directory. You'll show up on the directory on findmywayhome.com. For any consumer that goes to the website. And then the most important part is we're going to help you create this content. We have professional directors. It's just like doing a Zoom call, creating video with us. We're going to inspire. We're going to direct those videos. We're going to produce those videos, publish them for you. We're going to publish them on Find My Way Home that gets over 20,000 unique visitors a month. We're also going to publish it to your YouTube channel so that you can start building up your brand and your traffic. We're going to promote that content for you. We're going to pixel that content so it follows people around the internet. We're going to capture inquiries from consumers, and we're going to follow up on those inquiries for you so that all you have to do is make a Calendly appointment, answer a text or reply to an email, or answer your phone. If you have questions about that, you can get more information about that in the comment section or in the details below. There's a link to get more information about the Find My Way Home Expert Network. Everybody that was here, I have one more video in this series. And quite frankly, you're going to have everything you need to create as much content as you possibly want. You're never going to run out of ideas after this series. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about any of this, leave a comment in the comment section below, or reach out to me. I'm easy to find. My Calendly link is in the description as well, depending on where you're seeing this. Reach out to me and I am happy to help. So thank you for being here for this episode of the podcast. Coming up, next episode is how to get content from your past clients, past client success stories, past client experiences. And until then, we'll see you next time.